Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello everyone, if you could take your seats please, we're going to start soon. Just before we begin, we want to thank a few people who helped make the coffee house tonight all possible. Obviously we want to thank all the review members who made the decorations in the cafeteria look much prettier than it usually does during fourth lunch. And we definitely also want to thank Chef Paul, who put out the lovely drinks, coffee, and I think also tea over, and everyone who baked things or brought anything for you guys to eat. We also want to thank Mr. Murphy, our somewhat dysfunctional faculty advisor, who helped guide us into this coffee house. And also Leah Rosenfield for doing the beautiful curtain behind us and also helping with the review cover. Anyone else?
You also do the cover.
I also do the cover, but I'm not going to thank myself. Oh, also, my friend Hannah and I, for our National Honor Society Leadership Project, started raising money for the natural disaster in the Philippines a few months ago. So there are a few jars interspersed along the tables and also on the front and the back tables. So if you could donate 50 cents or $1 or maybe $50, that would be fantastic. So without any further ado, this is Danny Hayward. He'll be your MC for the night.
Hello. Hi. My name is Daniel Hayward. I'm a senior here at the Bromfield School, and I have nothing to do with the review. Welcome to the Review Presents The Spring Coffee House. Today is May 1st, 2014. I'm filling in right now for Ryan O'Leary and Thomas Hill, wherever he may be. Ryan O'Leary was not able to MC tonight because he busted one of his lungs from singing to beautiful women. And Thomas broke both of his wrists by playing Chopin. So I will be the MC for this evening. And would we like to just kick it off? Fabulous. The first people performing will be Emily Haydorn, Jenny Woodsum, and Lily Shepard. Never mind. Nuh-uh. Don't clap yet. Apparently, Lily Shepard is not here yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip on down to number 2. Is that a thing that I can do?
No, she's not. Are you still performing? We're waiting. Yeah. Oh, you are waiting. Yeah. Okay.
Let's places me in an awkward position. All right, so if we could have Michael Jaros come up, he is going to be our very first performer. Rock on.
Am I going to let anyone's waiting?
As long as you're not chatting, the performance is going to be good. Don't do what I did. I was in this.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? All right, so for those of you that have the review magazine in your hands, you could turn to page 19. This is going to be the reading I'm going to be doing to kick it off for Coffee House. So feel free to read along, and if you need a general explanation, it's a Pokemon Beyblade crossover thing. I'll just read. There, all set, Jenga said as he laid down the last piece of wood onto the fire. He then walked over to Simipor, who was still resting on the ice pack under her head. Touching her forehead, Jenga felt no extreme heat. Taking the headband that he had used to cool her head before he had used the ice pack. He put the headband with the Pegasus logo back upon his forehead, fixing it correctly so that it wasn't still wet. Right? Braviary asked, getting his attention. He looked upon Simipor. She slept peacefully on the ground beneath him. Simipor's fine now, I guess, Jenga replied. There's no fever right now, so you don't need to worry. He petted the valiant Pokemon on his beak and as he laid himself back down. Concern still apparent in his eyes for the geyser Pokemon. The other Pokemon had all fallen asleep, with Lampan and Beartick lying against a tree, the two bickering Poniards sleeping next to each other, and now Braviary was ready to fall asleep as well, brushing his feathers with his beak as he closed his eyes. Well, at least we got that squared away, Georgia said as she folded her arms behind her, entering a more relaxed position. Yeah, Jinga began to reply as he looked upon the night sky. But we still need to find a way to get our bags back. Georgia shrugged as she too tried to fall asleep, but still wondered why Jinga was intensely remaining awake. A thought came to her mind as she remembered how he traveled with her unbearable rival. Say, shouldn't you be traveling with Miss Dragon Master and those others? She asked as she unfolded her arms. Jinga blinked as he remembered the day he'd left them behind back in Mistralton City. How he ended up entrusting Pegasus to Ash was his decision alone. And while it did have its apparent drawbacks, it also gave him the chance to connect more with his Pokemon. I guess I don't need any distractions right now, he answered. What do you mean? Georgia asked. They are your friends, right? Did something happen between you and those guys? Jinga just looked back up at the clear night sky. He saw the tremendous height the cliff face had given off, and looked down back at the lake where they had fallen. Those guys are my friends, he said. I trust that they'll move on with their own without me, and they can trust me to move on my own without them. Georgia blinked at his response, looking back up at the cliff face. You know, she began to admit, maybe you were right about how the cliff was being leakened by Simipour's dig. She blushed out of the embarrassment for not realizing sooner. Jinga just smiled as he looked back at her. That's okay, he replied. It's because of this mess that we can get to know each other a little better, and maybe Simipour will end up going with you too. Georgia was surprised, but smiled at Jinga's kindness towards her. Well, whatever happens, we'll have to wait till morning to figure out what to do, she said, lying back on the ground. Good night, Jinga, she said as she closed her eyes. Jinga was a little shocked. It was the first time he had heard her say his name after all the time he had been around her. I guess she's a little nicer than Iris makes her out to be, he thought as he looked up back into the night sky. Simi? Simipour yawned as she rubbed her eyes. She looked over to see Jinga staring up at the sky, and nothing else. She looked up too, and saw the majestic beauty that the stars gave off from their bright lights. The fire began to go out as Simipour tried to get up, cringing as she tried to move. Hey! Jinga whispered loudly, so Georgia wouldn't wake up. You shouldn't push yourself. He got up and ran over to her, forcing her to lie back down. Simi! She groaned, looking back up at Jinga. It's okay, Jinga said as he raised his right arm around Simipour, surprising her a little. We'll both watch the stars till we fall asleep. Simipour looked up at Jinga with curiosity in her eyes, still wondering why Jinga helped her recover. She then looked back up at the sky with him, amazed by the stars as much as he was. Poor, she said in awe. You know, Jinga began to say, George is a really good trainer. Simi? She asked. Such a subject perplexed Simipour, and created another thought in her head. I don't know if you want to be anyone's Pokemon or not, Jinga added, but I hope that whoever it is, if you do, he'll or she'll treat you with all the care in the world. He smiled as he looked back at the Geyser Pokemon. Then they then both turned around to see that the fire had gone out as well. Simi. Simipour yawned as her eyelids drooped downwards. Are you still tired? Jinga asked as he saw Simipour snoozing in his lap, comforted by his warm embrace. Jinga chuckled softly as he looked back at the night sky. All I need to learn, all that I need to do, it all involves bonding with Pokemon, whether they're mine or not, he thought. If I have that bond, then maybe, no, I will be able to defeat anyone. I won't lose my passion, or my spirit, he shouted in his head. And that spirit I have is what will allow me to face Skyla, he said as he clenched his right fist on his chest. Thank you. Oh, was that a good way to kick things off?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's see what's up next. Oh, and by the way, go Red Sox.
Sports. Lily's still on here? Okay. So up next we have Jess Williams.
first part of the cheese because I meant to do the rest of it, but the rest of it's not very good. So do the first part. And this is Hungarian pastoral fantasy.
Okay. Next up, we have Nora Sorgi. We're making a quick amendment. We're going to skip over what should be happening now. And she's not here. So another quick amendment. We're going to pop over to Carly Williams, my princess.
poem that I wrote from my observations with my year, Mr. Murphy.
Oh.
And it's called Ode to Mr. Murphy. For you are probably the only man who knows just how to turn a lovely sea-dwelling creature into a lifestyle, squid. Find the only remaining quaaludes in the United States. Simultaneously insult and compliment a person. Get any discussion derailed. Gossip like a teenage girl. Make up